Today's episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio is brought to you by Gamers Inn, your one-stop location for all your gaming needs. Located in Lehigh City, Utah, their fun and friendly staff will be more than happy to answer any of your gaming needs. Just remember, Gamers Inn, it's where adventures begin.
It's time to power up.
Autobots, roll out! Broadcasting live from the DCR studio.
Oh yeah!
The Geek Revolution starts here.
Excellent!
Get ready for the #1 hit geek radio show out there.
Well, it is impressive, isn't it?
Because it's time for Dungeon Crawlers Radio.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio, where we're talking about dead cats.
Wow, that
No,
shot me down.
just kidding. We're not talking about dead cats. We wouldn't do that. We're going to talk about editing.
Beep. We're talking about beep and editing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, there's a lot of different companies that have shown up, gone away, some that are current that have they edit out content.
Why don't you just say
from
Vid Angle?
movies.
You want to say it.
I don't want
to.
to.
On your
I know,
tongue.
but I don't. I just,
Clean
okay.
Flicks.
Clean
was
Flicks
the
was
big one
a good one
back in the day.
Vid Angel. There's several that have been around, and there's been lots of lawsuits that have gone around and stuff like that. So we thought we'd talk about that, because, motion picture companies are saying, well, it's against the law. This is our stuff. It's copyrighted. You shouldn't be able to edit it. But, then on the flip side, they're saying, well, you own it. You bought it. You have the right to clean it up so that, your kids don't see the mass nudity, weird sex scene that you would see in Deadpool, or the guy becoming a shish kebab, which I don't know how you would edit that movie and not be able to enjoy it, because there's very little left after
Let me
that.
tell you, the first really edited movie I ever got was Office Space.
Oh,
It was a 35-minute movie.
that had to be boring.
It was not. It was. It had a couple moments, but I'm not kidding.
Yes.
The copy that I owned was between 35 and 40 minutes long.
I have an hour and 15-minute long edited version, and I think it's hilarious.
You see, and I remember watching yours back then.
Have you seen the unedited one?
I have now, and it is awesome.
Have you seen the
But I remember
extended
yours
special
was
edition
not as
version?
edited as mine.
So I have the extended special edition version.
Ooh.
It comes in this cool little tin collector's thing. That is an amazing movie.
It is. It is.
However,
Anyone
the
who works in the office needs to see it.
the only part of that whole movie that I just think doesn't need to be in there is the whole rap
Sexy.
song when they're kicking the printer.
See, and that is in my edited version.
Really?
There's
And
that,
that's foul.
And there's
Well, it bleeps out the N-word.
Oh, it's
it edits music.
Beep.
Okay.
It's been so long since I've seen that movie.
But no, I mean,
But it's a beautiful movie. It really
yeah,
is.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry, anybody who works in a cubicle needs to see that movie at some point.
yeah, I mean,
Which is why I saw it actually.
yeah. So
Now,
we've
back to
decided
the
to
whole
come
editing.
in. Yeah. Oh, that character is just fantastic. Yeah. I'm gonna put Strychnine in the book of movie.
See, and that was
I used
the
to sit
other
by the
part
window
of the movie
and I
that I
could see the
had.
squirrels,
Was,
and they were married.
Yeah.
There was the very beginning when they all show up. There's the guy who's like, oh yeah, I took a whole day off and it was amazing. And then he gets hypnotized. There's a lot of Milton. They beat up a printer. And then next thing you know, the place is burned down. And he loves construction and shoveling because shoveling is better. And I'm thinking, come on, there's no way that's realistic. What about the paychecks?
And not only
The
that,
paycheck
there's
from-
Batman standing next to him because that's Diedrich Bader.
Oh, exactly.
But
He's on my top 10 list of guys I need to meet in this life.
Diedrich Bader?
Bader?
That's right.
Really?
What do you want from me? He was in the Drew Carey show.
Yeah.
He was hilarious.
I'd much rather
loved his
meet
career.
Ryan Stiles or Drew Carey than him.
Colin
I would
Mockery.
also like to meet Colin. I've met Colin Mockery. Nice guy.
Well, cool.
I love Colin.
It wasn't
Actually,
really
I love
meeting. It
Colin
was
and
more
Ryan
like
together.
I was like one of those crazy fans.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, this is the
So you were a creeper.
so this is
So
a
you have a
this is a
stock
fantastic kind of example because you have this movie that makes literally no sense to you because it was edited so much.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, what the crap's going on? And that kind of where the movie producers are saying, look at this.
Because one of the
crap.
big things about it, is there was no relationship between the main character and Jennifer Aniston, but yet there was so much emotion all the time about it. Like, well, what is she doing? Well, what did he do? And it's like, well,
but you don't know what's going on.
Why are you guys so upset? You think each other look pretty, and you went and ate dinner at someone's restaurant, whoever restaurant it was. Hooray! And it's like, wow, you guys are some like really overzealous teenagers kind of hormone thing going on between the two of you. And then the unedited version suddenly, oh, okay, now I understand a little bit more. You guys are a little bit more involved than what it actually
Well,
sounds.
it's literally like taking a book and randomly just ripping chapters out.
Well, it's not randomly; it's very selectively.
It selectively rips out chapters. Yeah.
You chose to watch the edited version because you and your mind frame at that time felt that you weren't ready for the more adult material
I don't
that was
know.
included.
I felt that way, but I definitely know my parents felt that way.
And that's the point, is that you chose to be able to watch that episode. Now you can watch the full version and you can enjoy it even more. For me, like, I saw the edited version of Untouchables. Now they cut out a lot, and I watched it and I enjoyed it because I was in middle school, I think, and I wasn't ready. I was not ready for a full adult rated R movie at that point. Sorry, Mormon boy. But that's the point, is that I wasn't ready for it, but I wanted to be able to at least have a taste of that type of universe, that storytelling. And when I was ready for it, the full version was there for me to be able to select that. And I appreciate that. Now, that being said, I was missing out on story. I was missing out on
here's the thing that's really interesting with
Apparently I was
this.
not a deprived child.
No, neither was I, so don't worry. I mean, this is kind of the interesting thing is, these movies have been edited for television, which takes out most of that type of stuff.
Oh, Saving
because
Private Ryan?
Predator.
Because they have a general audience and they have to make sure that a child doesn't see something inappropriate. So it's like, it's where's that line drawn? Because it's on TV, the television studios can do it, but other people can't. So, I mean, that's the question. Where's that line drawn? For me, I don't care. I mean, I'll watch the movie as it is. I'll enjoy it. I'll decide whether I like it or not, and go from there.
But will you let your little daughter watch?
No,
the same show?
see, I wouldn't. And for that, they don't watch those movies. Those movies, I'll watch it after they've gone to bed.
Or you have an adult cave.
Or I do. I have a TV in my office.
Available over the counter.
I have a TV in my office. I watch Justified in my office while I'm working, because let's face it, there's some inappropriate stuff that shows up on that show.
There's some inappropriate stuff.
It is called TVMA
for
for a reason. And so I watch it in an environment where my kids aren't there. If I hear them coming, I pause it. After there's something. But again, I think that's just being a parent,
It's also being an older sibling, because I would do the same thing when I live with my parents, and my siblings are significantly younger than I am. So I'm wanting to watch, what was it? I don't even remember. Some of the USA stuff is pretty
but I
bad.
mean, come on.
But that's what the DVR is for. You record it and then you watch it after.
The summer after third grade, I was watching like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and Hellraiser. And
that explains so much.
Yes, it does. But that.
And when my parents wanted to watch a movie, they'd stick all of us in front of the TV, and my mom would put on something like South Pacific.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's and that, I grew up with your brother, and that was what was so vastly interesting, because my parents just obviously didn't care what I was watching.
And I'd show up at school like, what did you watch over the weekend? The Sound of Music.
Yeah, and I'd have friends. I'm like, what? They go, so what'd you do this weekend? I watched this show. It's called Hellraiser, and I watched this lady get the skin yanked off of her body and saw the muscle tissue after, and they're like, they just give me this look of like pure horror, like what in the world?
And
I'm
one
like,
of those teachers is probably thinking, you're going to grow up and kill people. And look at you now.
And what
Technically, he did, though. It was in this book.
Yeah, and then they're like, and you turn around, what did you do? We watched G.I. Joe, the animated movie.
I just remember quoting some of these movies that I was watching, and the school bus driver, my teachers, they didn't appreciate it as much as all the other students did.
Oh, I remember the first time I quoted Indiana Jones and told somebody that he could meet Kali in... Yeah. I was not supposed to tell people they could meet him there.
That's
See,
okay.
So
and
I started telling them they could meet him down the street.
only rule in my house was PG-13 when I was growing up. So I saw Stargate, I saw Fifth Element like in theaters, and I remember seeing those, and no rated R. But on Sundays, that was like the only exception, and I'm like, what? Granted, as a kid, you don't really understand that
So
Sundays.
on Sundays you could watch rated R movies.
No, Sundays was the one day we couldn't watch anything
Oh.
but the
Okay.
animated Book of Mormon movies.
Sundays you can't watch anything but rated R movies.
Nothing
Or
above
flip
level
flop.
G.
Oh, eventually my parents were like, "Can we watch Disney movies on Sunday too?" So eventually
And
that
thus the
changed.
love for Disney was born.
Oh, the
Yes.
love for Disney was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we won't. I don't even know when the love of Disney was started. I'm gonna go with when I was 3 years old and be
Star Wars. It was a relationship that started before I was born.
Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how Disney was.
Yeah.
But again, I do remember when my mom married my dad when I was about 8 or 9. 8. That's kind of when my eyes were opened up a little bit more to like Star Wars and movies like that, because before that it was a lot of Disney, it was a lot of kid stuff, it was a lot of I wouldn't say no adult content, but it, you know, she was trying to keep it away from her kids and stuff like that. And then after she married my dad, that's kind of when everything started opening up as far as movies go. But again, PG-13 was the only rule. And to this day, my little sister has seen all the Marvel movies since she was like, when did Iron Man come out? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
my sister was 5. She saw that in the theaters. My parents know she's, you know, they know to tell her what's real, what's not. And to this day, we have to be careful when we have other kids in the car, because we'll have like Marvel on our phones and we're like, oh, no big deal, we can watch Marvel, it's not a big deal. Whereas these kids, their parents are like, no, it's PG-13, they can't see it. So
well,
Some of those Pirates movies have some pretty graphic stuff.
Yeah.
Like the bird pulling the eye out of the corpse. You guys remember that?
Yep.
yeah,
Oh,
Well,
that's cool.
see, but ultimately,
that's cool.
I even though these editing companies exist, I think it ultimately comes down to your parents. You know, they get the you know, as a parent, you decide what your kids can and can't see, and I mean
And
that's
what
your
they're
choice.
exposed to.
And later
Yeah.
on, you can choose.
You know, and as
how
they
much
and
you
as
want to
and as you
expose.
as they get older, they get to choose and stuff like that. Because eventually, you're not going to be able to control them. Because once they turn 18, they're going to watch whatever they want. Baron's proof of that.
Ta-da!
He watched an edited version, and now he watched the full version.
And not only that,
I've
I went
watched
out
it.
and found every unedited, dark rated R movie I could think of. When I finally broke free, I was like, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen. Let's go through the rated R section. Come to find out, most video places don't really have a rated R section.
No, it's just
But,
all movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's called
yeah.
movies.
And I realized at that point, you shouldn't judge a movie by its rating.
yeah.
And that's the other thing, is that when you're like limited to the movies that you're allowed to see, you're gonna rebel. You're either gonna be like, I'm only gonna watch these kind of movies. I'm not gonna just to watch them. You know, you're just gonna do it because you can say, I've seen that movie. I've seen this. I've done.
Well, here's the funny thing.
So
You know,
it's dumb.
I remember growing up, and I knew several families where they're like, "Oh, my kids don't watch anything above PG and stuff like that." And then, you know, I'd be at the theater, you know, and it's a rated R movie. I'm enjoying the heck out of it, and I turn around and, it's those parents sitting a couple rows back.
See, hypocrisy.
You
is
know,
right.
but again, they made the decision that's their children aren't going to do that, and that's fine. And they were seeing a movie they felt comfortable seeing. Now, shouldn't people be able to let their kids watch those movies that are edited? It's tough. It is a tough call, because I wouldn't want someone taking chapters out of my book. You know, I spent time making that, developing it, writing that story, and there may be sections that some people are appalled about. You know, there's a whole section where a giant lizard just blows up, and there's chunks of living, dead, decaying flesh dropping
Raining
on top
down.
of a guy, raining down. And someone might like, oh, that's disgusting. I don't ever want to read that again. But that's an awesome part of the story. I would never want someone to take that out. So I can understand why they don't want people editing these movies.
Well, but people can still enjoy that at a later time. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
And I understand where you're coming from, because I have my work out there too,
Yeah.
and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit that someone would say, "Oh, no. This scene, you can't, not right now. No, you're not going to see this scene, but you can watch the rest of it." That kind of hurts me a little bit, but at the same time, I have to respect that, because you know what? I mean, some scenes maybe they do want to skip forward. Maybe
Yeah.
they do want to skip through, and I mean, at least they are enjoying my work, and I hope that someday they'll give the entirety of my work a chance.
Yeah.
Couldn't you argue that from a director's standpoint too?
No, that's what I am.
Yeah, he's arguing that.
Yeah, because when you think about it, how many cuts of Alexander, as an example, have been out there in the world? Like,
or Blade Runner.
Or Blade Runner. I mean, it's kind
or Evil Dead, or Army of Darkness,
or Highlander.
Oh yes.
Because it's like
I really hope
or Star Wars.
We don't talk about that.
You know,
Jabba Mombata.
I'm gonna say this: most.
You guys can't see it, but I flipped Scott off.
Most
it was
like
for our audio.
Most different. Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise
so
you heard
when you have like the bootleg copy or the director's cut or the special edition, it adds to the movie.
Not with the special edition.
Not with the special edition with Star Wars.
Again,
I feel like
we
it
don't
takes
speak
more
of
and more
those.
away. Yeah.
It does. The more extra CG scenes they add to it, the more times they take you out of that moment where you're stuck in a movie. They pull you back into your seat. They slap you around and say, look at all the bright lights and the exits and the annoying people around you. You're in a theater.
Yeah.
Or you're in your living room. And I hate that.
Or when
I
they
felt
did that
same way
travesty with Han and Greedo. Oh.
See, it was the same issue, though, with Rogue One when they had to CG those characters into it. I understand the necessity, but oh, wow, what a buzzkill.
Yeah. No,
Every
I
time when the one the general turned around and
so
Oh
that's
my gosh, he was so creepy.
So, well, hey, Tarkin had to be there.
He did. Like I said, there was a necessary.
And to be fair, I think they did a great job.
They did a really good. It was far less creepy than Tron Legacy.
It definitely was.
Better when you watch it at home on your home player. You don't see like the blown up to like huge movie
well,
screen.
and here's the thing: watching that movie, seeing Tarkin and Leia, Tarkin is much better because he was always shadowed. And so it helped kind of...
It did. He wasn't as bad.
He wasn't as bad. Then you see Leia
right
at the end where it's all bright and white and oh my gosh, it's so... It is so glaringly obvious what they did.
So much... I'm sorry, I'm just going to say for the home video release, like she looks so much better when you watch it at home.
Yes,
she really does.
You do. When you're watching it on a smaller screen, it's a lot clearer. Unless you're watching it on 4K.
Nothing's gonna
if you're watching it on the 4K or the high definition Blu-ray, you can see it, but on normal standard television it definitely doesn't look as bad. But in Tron Legacy, great movie, but man, seeing
there was
Jeff the younger Jeff Bridges showing up, and then what was the copy of him that was made? Clue. It was just so glaringly obvious.
Especially when they had to play side by side against each other.
Yeah.
I mean, the technology was really, really cool at the time, and we got to see that further when they DH Michael Douglas in Ant-Man. And same thing when they...
Well, we saw it with Robert Downey Jr. in Civil War.
That was pretty good.
Again, it was well done.
But Tron Legacy is also, 7 years old
It is. Point? It definitely is. But
it kind of shows its age.
But the funny thing is we knew this was... We saw this coming. If you didn't, then you probably weren't alive at the time, but Running Man. Written by Richard Bachman, which is actually a pen name. Stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it's based on a book written by Richard Bachman, which is actually the pen name for Stephen King. So it's a Stephen King novel. But in that, the main character, they're fighting him, and he escapes. But then they digitally edit him in to this fight. So everyone on TV sees him die, and they think he's dead, and then he shows up. So it's literally that. We're in that day and age now.
Where the people in our reality shows aren't dying, but they really are.
But, yeah, and so this is the thing is...
Yeah, that came out before I was born.
Yeah, that's okay. They're up... I mean, these movie companies are upset because these companies are editing stuff out of their movies, but then they're editing people into movies that aren't even alive.
Yeah.
Which I know when Carrie Fisher died, there was a huge outcry. They're like, they can't add Leia back in for Star Wars Episode 9. And as much as I love Leia, I agree. I don't think they should do it.
See, but how could they have done that with her being as old as she was? You can't.
Well,
there's no way you could have regenerated her back to be looking that way without doing the exact same amount of CGI on her.
Well, I know. And the thing with... But
you would have had a voice at least. But other than that, I don't see how
it's really bad. It is bad that we lost her. I know 9 was supposed to be a pivotal point where she confronts Kylo, That's not going to happen. They have to
Unfortunately, yeah.
rewrite the story. Han's definitely not going to show up to save the day. We know he's
Nope.
gone.
Which is tragic. It's
it
just
is.
like the Batman trilogy, where the third one was supposed to be the trial of the Joker.
Yeah.
And now.
And we couldn't do that because Heath Ledger passed away.
But
For
here's
that,
the
this is
question.
for the record. If I ever die and I was in some kind of movie thing, please bring me back. I don't mind. Just let the story that was supposed to be told be told.
But when is it okay to do that out of respect, and when is it disrespectful to?
I think they did a
Do you get what I'm
fantastic.
saying?
Well, I think they did a fantastic job with the last Fast and Furious with Paul Walker.
Never seen any of those movies.
Okay, well, most of it was done, and he died before they could finish. They brought in
they brought in his brother.
They brought in his brother, which looked very much like him. And they brought him in, but you didn't. There wasn't a lot of close-up shots. There were side shots. They had the audio for some of the stuff, so you didn't see him on camera. You heard him talking off screen, and then at the very end, there was a full-on frontal. But they had the brother there, and then they composed a shot from one of the first ones. And I think that was fitting and they were saying goodbye to him. I mean, they really were, and the character left because if they would have brought him back in 8, that would have been, in my opinion, too going too far.
But yet, I feel like the situation's different for Heath Ledger and Paul Walker. Paul Walker, he had a career out of that movie.
Yes.
That was his landmark.
That was.
Heath Ledger had an amazing performance in one.
Yes.
I mean, he had a lot of other good movies, don't get me wrong, but Batman wasn't his legacy.
No, it wasn't.
The Joker was not his career.
No.
Replacing him, I see that in no way as disrespectful towards Heath Ledger.
No.
No, and if they would have brought someone else in as the Joker, I would have been fine with that.
And I honestly feel
And I
they
feel
should.
like that-
and they shouldn't just bring in a Jared Leto Joker. No, they should
no.
bring in somebody who portrays a very similar Heath Ledger, because we're trying to pick up from where we left off, are we
Like
not?
what we did with Harry
We were,
Potter.
yeah.
We don't need to
Yeah,
rediscover
Dumbledore.
who Joker is.
I mean, yeah.
But that's a really bad example because I don't like Michael Gambon's portrayal.
Oh man,
I don't like it as much, but at the same time, I am grateful that we can.
I am grateful
Yeah.
they did that. I am grateful they got past that and they were able to.
Well,
bring him
and that
back.
was a tragedy because that would have completely killed the entire
Oh, it would've.
movie.
Yep.
Because
the
Richard,
whole
what was
series.
his last name?
Harris.
Fantastic actor. Seen him in so many things. Count of Monte Cristo. Oh,
Monte Cristo.
fantastic job. Even in Gladiator, when he plays Caesar in that, just a fantastic actor. And when I saw him as Dumbledore, I'm like, all right. I agree. I don't like the new guy they brought in,
Yeah.
but they had to do something.
Yeah.
And instead of CGing him in, they just recast it.
Because recasting it doesn't pull you out.
No.
You notice it once or twice at the beginning. It's a little unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
A lot like, I think one of the big examples I can think of is Last Man Standing. The very first season.
Oh, the
his-
one daughter.
His one
Yeah.
daughter
Yeah,
goes
bomb.
from she goes from what a skinny brown haired girl to a taller, a little bit
Yeah.
thicker blonde.
Yeah.
And
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 they
at
make
first-
several puns
Yeah.
towards it,
Oh,
like
yeah,
when the
yeah.
grandpa shows up, he's like, "Didn't you look different last time I was here?"
oh yeah, the way
but
the writers went around it was amazing.
But I love that because they're like, okay, we know this is obvious,
Yeah.
so we're gonna poke fun at it. You're gonna go for the ride, which I think is
And-
what they need to do.
and it sold. It
It
sold.
did.
I bought it. I bought into it. It only took me. In fact, I remember when I went back because my wife was like, "Oh, let's watch some more again because there's nothing new on Netflix."
Yeah.
And we went back to season 1, and I'm like, I don't like this other girl.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
glad
I
that they got rid of her. She doesn't.
I
take
actually
part
liked the
anymore.
first one, but I
She-
didn't like the second
Well, she
Kristen.
did good, but after I'd gotten so accustomed to the second one, when I came back to that first one, I then had to reaccustom
Yeah.
myself to that first one again because she didn't quite fit into that family picture frame that I had in
Yeah.
my mind.
Well, and I again, even in later series, like when Kyle comes back and he's like, you're a really different person than when I dated you. I mean, this is like season 4, and you're like, yeah, because it was someone
Yeah.
different. But that was perfect, and I think they could have pulled it off and still pulled off the trial of the Joker, and still given it justice without taking away from Heath Ledger's performance.
Exactly.
See, and I think The Dark Knight Rises lost something because
Oh,
of
did
that.
it completely
Oh.
did?
Yeah,
I think
it
Bane was
The
a bad
ending of
choice.
this series really did.
You could tell that they completely went a different direction than what the writer originally anticipated.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
that's
they
the
brought
thing,
back
they
in
rewrote
Rachel
Rachel Dawes as
Gould.
well. yeah, it was just like, wait, we've already had the story.
Well, yeah.
Well, and not only that, they finished the story. Like, if they were going to bring in Natalia at any point in time, they should have alluded to it in Batman Begins or even The Dark Knight. But then she's just kind of out, and it wasn't even Natalia from the comic books that we all know and love.
No.
It was that crap. Whatever.
It was bad. I mean, we lost Rachel. They recasted her. Why can't they recast Joker? And who they got was horrible.
They also recast Rhodey in the
they did.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle.
Terrence Howard.
They recasted
I love
him.
Howard. I love Terrence Howard, and I was it made me so sad when he left. But
See,
there
okay
were
with that.
issues.
No, yeah, and I remember hearing the issues.
But now I'm fine with Don Cheadle being Rhodey.
Yeah,
I do
it
kind of
bothered me
miss
for a
the
little bit, but I
chemistry
got
from
used
the
to it.
first movie
Yeah.
that Rhodey
Yeah.
and
Yeah, Don Cheadle does not have that same chemistry.
No.
That is very
With Robert
obvious.
Downey Jr.,
and
yeah.
they don't have that same joking relationship. Like, as an example, you two do when you've known each other for as long as you have.
Yeah.
That relationship just wasn't there.
But, you know,
Mhm.
I just...
Yeah.
I mean, so the real question, because we're almost out of time, is what is your opinion on this? You know, last call, do you think these companies should exist that can edit? Or, you know, because we're buying the material, it's our right to kind of edit it, but make it not permanent so that it can be opened up where, you know, later those people can see it or we can watch it when we don't want, when the kids aren't around? Or should it just be, no, can't edit it. If you don't want to watch it, fast forward or skip it.
Well, that's still editing.
True.
See, and that's how things were edited when I was a kid. I mean, rarely did it ever come to that, but I remember once or twice my mom and dad being like, all right, everyone, they'd pause the movie. Okay, everyone, plug your ears. And my dad would usually turn the volume down. My mom would go over and hold a pillow in front of the TV screen because the whole TV screen is covered by a throw pillow. And she'd just look behind the pillow and then she'd tell my dad to stop, and then she'd move the pillow, and we could unplug our ears, and they'd hit play again.
You know, or you get two VCRs and you have one recording and then play, and then you pause the recording one until it gets to the next part. And then you hit unpause and it starts recording. So then you have a copy.
A little too.
Oh
yeah,
we did that all the time.
I just remember in high school we were watching a show and the teacher hadn't had a chance to edit it before. It was like one of those, you know.
Was it Romeo and Juliet?
I don't remember.
Oh my gosh!
Something like in the United. It was in the United States. It was like in when. Way back
pre-clothing era? What?
Yes, pre-clothing era. There was a scene where he's like, okay, everybody, hold on. And he spins the TV around. He's like, don't worry. And he mutes it and he's watching. He's fast forwarding. It's like, oh, yeah, everything's good. Everything's fine. Lots of hair. Lots of stuff. Okay, yep. And we can watch now. And he'd spin it back around. And it was so awkward. But
My teacher did the same
and you'd
thing
stare at
with,
his glasses,
Galactica,
hoping to catch the reflection
Galactica.
glinting off the
No,
lens.
so I remember ninth grade. It was towards the end of the school year. We were watching Romeo and Juliet, and
The
so
60s version with like the full nudity.
oh yeah, so I'm getting there. So the librarian is the one controlling this, and so we're sitting here and we're watching, and then Juliet gets up and stretches, and she is completely naked.
She's got a nice pair.
And you know, you see.
You know, she was only like 14 when that was filmed, so she couldn't even watch.
You know, I was 14 when I was watching it too, so I think that's fair.
Juliet was 14, but the actress playing Juliet was not 14.
No, she was actually a teenager. They would not let her come to the premiere of the movie, even though it was her own body that was nude.
Yeah. And so we're just sitting here, and suddenly you hear this collective, what? And then the teacher's like, oh, no! And she hits the button and shuts it off. I have never seen a teacher move that fast.
See, I had a very similar experience, except the one we had was an edited version that was poorly edited. Because what they tried to do was like pause the last frame before anything shows up, and then have it
just
paused.
It paused.
And it paused right as that first movie pulls up above the screen. And the teacher's like, and we're all, and again, the teacher looks over, not quite catching what's going on because it's not in the middle of the screen. And the teacher's like, oh yeah, it's edited so that you don't have to see. And
yeah, you know, and then of course a letter had to go out to the parents.
Exactly.
You know, so you have instances like that where they try to edit and they mess up.
Clean Flicks just dropped the ball.
Yeah. So okay, so your opinion. We'll start with Scott.
Okay, so I'm actually pro, especially like I'm on Vid Angel's side on this one.
All right.
Like right now, they're still alive. But now you have to have a streaming service like Netflix, Amazon, or HBO, and then you can filter that through their site. You have to log in there, and you can actually edit stuff out, which is better than what I think they were doing. This way they're not stealing content. They're just like, you're already paying for the content officially. And now, now it's less backdoor, kind of like being kind of... Anyway,
that seems a little bit more legit than what they were doing.
That does, yes.
Yeah, before it was kind of like, really, guys, how do you have permission for all this?
Yeah.
Oh, super shady.
Yeah, but now I think that everybody should have the choice, the right to be able to edit stuff in their own home.
Okay.
And it hurts me as a director sometimes, but I have to respect everybody's
choices.
Freedom to do that.
Yeah.
If you don't want to show Michelangelo's David in your home, you don't have to.
You know, you can. It's like when I make hot dogs for my kid. You know, I get out there, the bun, the hot dog, then I've got mustard. I always have sauerkraut available.
It's a delicious hot dog,
and
right?
she's like,
sauerkraut.
I might just have a hot dog, nothing with it. What? Maybe some ketchup. You gotta be kidding me. No bun even? I mean, this isn't it. But you know what? She's enjoying the hot dog the way she wants to enjoy it. And so I gotta take Scott's stance with it. I think it's stupid. But as long as they're doing it this way rather than the old way, where you know these other editing companies would go out and they'd buy one copy, they'd make 12 edited copies, and then they'd rent out those 12 edited copies when they only paid for one to begin with.
Also, it's better than just parents telling kids, "You will never watch anything." I appreciate being able to see something.
Yeah, exactly. Because there still are amazing stories out there. There still are amazing aspects of a lot of films that would be edited.
And in a lot of films, there's some of those sex scenes and stuff like that. Why is this in here?
Oh yeah, some of them exactly.
Yeah, it's like
At
it's
least-
not gonna take away from the story if I clip that out.
Exactly,
No.
like the one in Phenomenon with John Travolta.
Yeah,
I mean everything is great in that. I mean I think that seems fine too, but it's one of those that you can easily cut out. The story stays the same. It still has the same strength. The story still holds the same weight.
Well, I think they did a wonderful job for Wonder Woman. You saw him in there. You saw him kind of getting cozy, and then they panned out, and all you saw was the window and the light go out.
Just like the Truman Show.
Perfect. It was
Truman Show
perfect
effect.
because literally you knew what was going to happen. It was enough to let you know what was going to happen, but you didn't need to see it.
Yeah.
See, and like as an example with like movies that are rated R for their graphic content, Saving Private Ryan is an amazing film, but that 30 minutes or however long they are, that's the Battle of Omaha. You have to see that movie because you have to almost, I don't want to say experience because you can't really experience what people had there, but at the same time it gives you
It's
that
the closest
perspective
you're
of
gonna
war.
get,
It's the closest you're gonna get
Without being
but
in
if
it,
you
yeah.
edit that out, you lose part of
You
why
lose a
they
big
fight
portion.
so hard.
No,
Yeah.
for
no,
that
I
movie.
agree, and
I
that
don't think you should be able to say that you love a movie until you've seen the full version.
no,
I would agree
agree.
with
I
that
agree.
statement.
And the thing is, like with that example, I mean that's a pivotal point in the movie, and it's part of the main story. To cut that out it really harms the movie.
You're cutting out
It
a vital
does.
organ of it.
It's like Office Max. You had not
Office
Max.
Space.
Office Space. Meh. You had no clue what was going on. You just thought these guys were whiny teenage brats until you saw the full one, and you're like, oh wait a minute, there's actually a
then
relationship going on
Yeah.
there. So,
And what about Schindler's List? Same thing.
Yeah.
I feel like
Again,
that's nudity that you should see because that actually happened. And as a society, we need to make sure that we do not let this kind of atrocity happen.
that was history as well, and but again, is that something your 10-year-old needs to see? Probably not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Your 10-year-old probably shouldn't be watching that
But
movie.
should,
Period.
Should you be
But-
buying? Should you be getting the edited version of it though? Because
I
some
don't
of those,
think
at some
so.
point, it's like there's no point. What, you gonna get the edited version of Striptease so you can show your 5-year-old that one too? Because that's gonna be a great 5 minutes of
And now
credits.
striptease. Oh, I need a new job. What should I? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And credits.
The end.
Yeah.
See, there's something that has to be said about editing movies to the point where you lose everything.
Yeah, no.
Which
See,
I
and-
do not agree with.
Now here's the other side of this that just
Real
really
movie's
bugs me.
always going to be out there to go see.
Yeah.
I was in high school. I just got a checking account. I was feeling pretty cool, and my friends all wanted to watch a movie. Shrek had just came out. I went and I rented Shrek from Blockbuster. I even signed up a Blockbuster account. I was Mr. Adult that day.
Yes.
And I got home that night, and I was, Mom, look, I went and rented a movie that the family can watch. Oh, don't worry about it, sweetheart. We have the Clean Flicks version of Shrek. I'm not kidding you. We then sat down and watched the Clean Flicks version of Shrek. that did have some big edits.
Wow.
Really?
Like, it was ridiculous. Anything
Really?
that could be slightly mistaken as innuendo. Gone.
Which is a lot of Shrek.
Which is a
basically the
lot of
entire
Shrek.
Farquaad
Yeah.
Exactly.
storyline.
He doesn't go up. He doesn't go save his donkey. No, they don't even notice the giant tower.
Wow.
There's a lot of there's a lot of it that I was just like, you ruined this movie.
Yeah, there it is.
It's a rated.
One whole episode later, he finally gets it. All right, we're out of time. I think, I like how they've gone to editing what you already have, you're paying for with the subscription base. That makes more sense. You're paying for it, you can edit it. I did have some huge concerns. Basically, hey, we have it one copy. We've made 1,400 other ones.
Exactly.
We're gonna send those out to you. So, teach their own. On one side, like Scott, I don't want anyone editing my book and cutting and parting it. But if they own it, they can skip what they want. They can, it's their right. So, all right, folks. So, with that said, we've gone over, but we'll catch you next time.
Okay, we're out of time.
Are you a fan of Dungeon Crawlers? Then it's time for you to level up your experience. Download our episodes that are released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And not only that, we want to hear from you. We want to know who you want to hear on the show. What author, what celebrity, what game designers you want to hear. Not only that, we also want to hear what you like about the show. So, with that said, please reach out to info@dungeoncrawlersradio.com. Email us on Twitter or Facebook. And let us know what you want to hear on this show, because we want it to be as much of your show as it is ours. So with that said, we're out of here and we'll catch you next time.